Good evening, everyone. I would like to call tonight's regular board meeting of February 21st to order at this time. I would like to, at this time, I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. And at this time, before you are seated, I would like to have a moment of silence for the victims of the senseless shooting act at Michigan State. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Supervisor Kowal.
Here.
Treasurer Roman.
Here.
Clerk Noble here. Trustee Ruggles.
Here.
Trustee Smith.
Here.
Trustee Voorhees.
Present.
And Trustee Powell is excused tonight.
Somewhere on, I believe. I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the
I
agenda.
have a motion to approve the agenda. Looking for support.
Support.
I have motion. Identify yourself for the recorder. Anyone at this time have any public comment? Seeing no public comment, I will close public comment and move on to item number 6, consent agenda, which is revenue expenses, check disbursement, list of bills, department reports, and a variety of other items of activity within the township in the general course of business. Looking for a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I have motion support from Mr. Ruggles. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes. Thank you. Item 7, approval of the minutes, regular board meeting of January 17th. Any questions or comments by the board? Seeing none, looking for a motion?
Motion to support regular board meeting minutes December 20th, December 20th, 2022. That's not right.
January 17th.
I'm sorry, I have a different agenda pulled up on accident.
January 17th.
Just mindlessly read that. January 17th, 2023.
Thank you. I have a motion, looking for support?
Support.
I have motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item 8. This is one of the fun things we get to do around here. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Before we get started on the swearing-in ceremony, I'd like to discuss, I know we recently implemented the SOU program that we team up with Waterford, and I just want to give you an update as to what we've done so far. Since starting the Special Operations Unit with Waterford in October of 22, so it's been about 5 or 6 months, we've been involved in investigations ranging from retail fraud to more serious crimes such as CSC and human trafficking, resulting in over 20 felony arrests. Recently, White Lake obtained a warrant for an accessory to murder from the double homicide that occurred last year. The subject was located by our Special Operations Unit in Waterford and arrested without incident. Earlier this month, White Lake was seeking a subject for a felony domestic violence charge that he was evading the White Lake Police Department. SOU conducted surveillance and located the subject in White Lake, and he was arrested without incident. SOU has arrested multiple crews stealing catalytic converters and individuals conducting high-dollar organized retail fraud thefts in White Lake and Waterford. One of the most recent retail fraud arrests resulted in the recovery of approximately $9,000 worth of stolen merchandise from a White Lake retail store. SOU has executed multiple search warrants, including a search warrant on a business, which resulted in the arrest of the business owner, a recovery of a freshly stolen vehicle, and the chop shop being shut down. As an extension to White Lake, SOU has assisted with multiple in-progress crimes utilizing their resources and extra personnel as an additional officers on scene. SOU has assisted White Lake Patrol with interviews of arrested persons, suspects, which resulted in additional information. SOU has also been involved in multi-jurisdictional arrests, which in turn prevents crime from coming into our township. Due to the SOU's investigations and arrests, SOU has also assisted other agencies in solving crimes throughout Michigan by providing them with suspect and vehicle identification as well as confessions from interviews. By participating in the unit, White Lake gained access to alerts from the local flock license plate reader cameras, including Highland and Waterford. This has resulted in 2 separate felony arrests by White Lake patrol officers as a result of wanted person camera alerts. The White Lake SOU detective has been a positive addition to our department. It has enabled us more flexibility and diversity in ways in which we investigate crimes. As part of accreditation, specialty unit assignments are evaluated each January by the detective lieutenant and myself. We believe this position is successful and will remain an active position in the department. As you can see reading that, it's just been overly successful. It has gone past my expectations. It's a great crew. They've done a good job. They're very professional, and it shows through their work that they've done in Waterford and White Lake. So thank you for giving me time for that. So I'd like to bring up Marcus Hunt. All right. Just stand right in the middle. Yep. Turn around. There you go. All right. Here with Marcus Hunt are his parents, Jeremy and Rosalie Hunt. Jeremy and Rosalie. Guys, stand up. God bless you guys. Appreciate you guys coming. Is your sister here? Selfie? Oh, darn. She's on the way. All right. Officer Hunt grew up in Clarkson, Michigan, and graduated from Clarkson High School in 2020. He's currently pursuing an associate's degree in criminal justice at Oakland Community College and will pursue a bachelor's degree at Grand Valley State University shortly after. Officer Hunt served as a cadet for the White Lake Township Police Department through July of 2021 through July of 2022, and we sponsored him through the academy. And he graduated in December of 2022, and he's currently in the 3rd month of the FDO program. So this is one of our bonuses, our benefits. We have a cadet program that we would be suffering without if we didn't hire good cadets and let them excel at that position and bring them on as police officers. We'd be short-staffed. So this is definitely a benefit, and we wholeheartedly appreciate Hunt being part of our team. So to pin on his badge, we'll have Jeremy, his dad, come up. But first, we'll have the clerk read his oath.
Please raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of office of police officers for the Township of White Lake, County of Oakland, and the State of Michigan according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
All right, congratulations. Welcome aboard, young man.
Good to see you again.
Congratulations and welcome aboard.
Way to go. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Hey, nice job, Chris.
Marcus. Sign right here.
Congratulations. Officer Wright. All right, so we're lucky enough to have an individual with experience here, and while Officer Hunt's bio is short, this one will not be. So we'll go from there. He is, how old are you?
I'll be 50 in June.
My man, he's almost 50. All right, Officer Frank Wright was born in West Virginia and then moved to Texas when he was 3 years old. Officer Wright's father was a Marine, so his family ended up back in West Virginia. Officer Wright worked with a fiber optics company building computer chips. The company suddenly closed without warning, and Officer Wright's new dislocated work status, he became eligible to go back to school. He originally studied to be a medical assistant and even became nationally certified. Following his schooling, Officer Wright took a position at the West Virginia University Hospital in the surgery department, where he worked for 10.5 years. In 2012, Officer Wright took a position as a process and transport officer with the Mon County Sheriff's Department, where he worked part-time while continuing his full-time employment at the hospital. In 2014, Officer Wright's brother-in-law told him that Officer Wright's hometown Manning Police Department was hiring, and since Officer Wright had always wanted to become a full-time police officer, he suggested that Officer Wright apply to the police department. Officer Wright applied, and he was hired at the Mannington City Police Department in February 2014 and graduated from West Virginia State Police Academy. After 3 years of patrol service, Officer Wright was promoted to sergeant. Officer Wright came to Michigan when he met his soon-to-be wife from Shelby Township. Officer Wright participated in the Macomb Community College Prior Recognition of Education and Training Program. Officer Wright graduated from Macomb Community College and took a part-time police position at Northfield Township Police Department in 2018. Officer Wright was moved to the full-time position with Northfield Township upon the completion of his training program. In the fall of 2018, Officer Wright was promoted to detective and completed the basic investigative training school at the Michigan State Police Training Academy. After moving to Highland Township in 2021, Officer Wright began researching local departments, and lucky enough, he was looked into our department and subsequently applied, where we gladly hired him. So, Violetta, all right, why don't you come on up? She's going to be pinning the badge on, but first we'll let the clerk swear you in.
I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of police officer for the Township of White Lake, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
I do.
Congratulations.
Very nice.
Congratulations, welcome.
Congratulations, welcome aboard.
Good to see you again.
Boy, great story, man.
Yeah. Welcome to White Lake.
Congratulations. Thanks. Welcome aboard.
No, I did.
All right, congratulations, Officer Wright. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Thank you to the board. I appreciate it. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Thanks,
you.
Chief. Okay, moving on to new business, Resolution 23003, tentatively declaring an intent to establish a special assessment district to be known as Emergency Sewer Hookup 2023-01. This is what this board has committed to do from time to time to get people hooked up under these circumstances. Mr. Ebert.
Before you tonight is the first of 3 resolutions that'll be required to be adopted for the special assessment district. Tonight, you'll be, if passed, you'll be declaring your intention to set up the special assessment district and establishing one of the 2 following public hearings for the 4 parcels that have already worked with Aaron's department to be hooked up to the sewer.
Yeah, this has proven to be a very valuable program, and it was a real good implementation. Appreciate you bringing it to this board. And does anyone have the board any questions? Seeing,
I'll make a motion.
please do.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 23-003, emergency sewer hookup.
I have a motion to approve.
I'll support.
I have motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, next item, Resolution 23-005, declaring official intent to reimburse project expenditure of the bond proceeds and authorizing publication of notice of intent to issue bonds. Clean Water State Revolving Fund, Project 5800-1, Act 94. Interesting thing about this process, this was a process that Mr. Roman and I were at the MTA several years ago, and we started to have a conversation with some bonding folks, and this came up. And it allowed the library at the time to recoup its initial land expenditure and roll it back into its bond. So we found it to be a very, very useful tool for the township and its processes. So I'm very happy to see that this is moving forward with this particular project. Eric McLaughlin is here tonight from our bonding organization. Eric?
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. Thanks for having me here. The resolution before you tonight is a very straightforward one. It's the first step in the legal process to authorize issuance of the bonds. It authorizes publication of a notice of intent, which describes the project and sets the maximum amount of bonds that can be borrowed at $5 million. That number has been arrived at in discussions with the township and the township's municipal advisor regarding the project costs, and it builds in a contingency in case bids come back exceptionally high as they have been recently. Also, it includes an additional amount to pay costs of issuance on the bonds. When and if this resolution is adopted, the resolution will be published. It begins a 45-day referendum period. If there is no petition that is filed by the required number of qualified electors in the township, then the township will acquire the authority to go ahead and issue the bonds. At some point after tonight, we will come back before you with a bond resolution, and that will set the parameters for actually issuing the bonds. This resolution starts the process. It doesn't require you to finish the issuance process, doesn't require you to issue bonds in any particular amount, just provides you the avenue for getting the authority to do so. Are there any questions?
Very good. Any questions from the board? We have gone down this road before. We certainly appreciate the rehash of it, so to speak, because it has been a little while, so we had to, but I believe we're heading in the right direction, and I certainly appreciate your professionalism in this matter. Any questions or comments? Other than that, I'm seeking a motion. Mr. Roman?
Yeah, motion to approve Resolution 23-005, publication of notice of intent to issue bonds.
I have a motion, looking for support? Support. I have support from Mr. Ruggles, motion and support, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next item, request to fire department to purchase 5-inch apparatus supply hose. This is no regular garden hose, I'll tell you that. So.
What's going on tonight? I never get up here this fast. This is moving.
Well, we're missing somebody.
Yeah.
Only 6.
Yeah, so we're looking to purchase 1,800 feet of 5-inch and 200 feet of 50-foot of 5-inch sections. They usually come in 100-foot sections. We're going to mix it. The 100-foot, if we're close to a hydrant, that's a lot of hose to pull off and try to wrap around and connect to us for a supply to the truck. So that's why we buy 50-foot sections as well. When we sold the previous tankers, we sold it with the older large diameter hose on it. Stuff that was gonna probably come up and have to be replaced. Right now, our current tanker 3 is short about 900 feet of hose, and then we have nothing in reserve. We lose probably on average between 200 and 700 feet when we test. We have to test the hose annually. We haven't purchased since probably, I think, 2020. So we're due. We took, I believe, 4 bids. The lowest bid is what we're gonna choose. It's the same brand. It's Key brand. It's a good brand of hose. McQueen Equipment came into lowest bid, and that's what we're recommending to the board tonight for approval.
Okay, yeah, I saw your bids. They were kind of surprisingly spread out.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm glad that you went back to a former vendor. I'm glad to see that you received this price. So you're looking for $15,982.
Correct.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board?
Those are gonna be shipped here, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion.
please do.
Should the motion include shipping?
You know what? I think it's a hard thing to project right now. So they had no idea what the shipping was gonna cost.
Right, so should it just be the amount that you've stated plus shipping?
Plus shipping, yeah. The shipping is unknown right now.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to purchase the 5-inch apparatus supply hose, not to exceed $15,982 plus the shipping.
I have a motion looking for support.
Support.
I have support from trustee Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank
Ayes
you.
have it. Thank you. Next item, request to approve Stanley Park tree removal contract. Before we get into that, just so you know, we did not qualify for the Spark grant that we ran through the gauntlet. However, we have two more submittals that will come through in the course of the year. And it'll be interesting to see where we stand in that particular course.
Well, I
Mr. O'Neill.
know it might be out of line, but it would be worth mentioning you signed an application for a $100,000 stormwater grant today that went off to SEMCOG that we,
I
all
didn't
know.
get there yet, but that's okay.
right, I didn't want to
Thank you.
preempt you, but we were talking grants, so, but
Yes.
if you're going to get to it, I'll let you cover it
No,
later.
that's quite all right.
Before you are the proposals for the Stanley Park tree removal. As a part of that first phase, 58 trees were identified as needed to be removed. The supervisor and the staff planner went on a walkabout a couple of weeks ago and tagged 8 trees of those 58 trees that they felt could remain, and worked with Beckett Rader to make sure that they could be protected in the design, which is good because we're going to save mature trees and we're going to spend less on removing trees as well. So before you have 3 prices, one from Maxon's Tree Service, one from Dawson's Tree Care, and one from Owen Tree Service, all pretty close in pricing. Maxon's Tree Service came in as the low bidder at $25,950, and both their price and Dawson's included the removal of all the material they cut down, which was part of the bid spec. So they are the lowest qualified bidder. Both Maxon's and Dawson's have done quite a bit of work for the township over the years, so certainly comfortable with both. But in this case, just due basically to price alone, the recommendation is to move forward with Maxon's Tree Service for that not to exceed amount. One thing that I think is worth mentioning is that because of oak wilt, it was a requirement of the U.S. Fisheries Department that the trees be removed by March 31st, and they have agreed to that timeline, and they'll be able to get the trees down in the next 5 weeks or so, which is good news. So that is a request, and if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them for you.
I've got a question. It says in here that they're gonna leave all the stump grindings and wood chips. That could be quite a bit of wood chips. 50 trees. Unless you think that the next phase of the development is just gonna, get rid of them anyways.
I mean, we wouldn't use them for pathways. They'd probably just sort of be spread and, kind of as a mulch and just let biodegrade. But,
It could be some big piles though. I mean, that's a lot of chips.
You said stumps, correct?
The stump grinding
Yeah,
as
okay.
well.
yeah,
The stump grindings won't be as prevalent as just the chips though. I mean, that's 50 trees. That's a lot of brush.
it is. There's a lot of area to disperse it. If, I don't know what the exact plan is with it at this point, but we won't be able to make good use of it for, any of the trail networks. They quit putting and recommending wood chip paths a long time ago for accessibility
Do
reasons.
these
and-
companies not haul it away, or did we just not ask them to in the process?
I don't think they like to haul it away because it's one of those things, it's a byproduct of doing this work and nobody wants it. So I think that's just how they priced it out with, just leaving behind, the wood chips.
They're really only leaving the stump grindings behind.
Well, it says,
This is a Maxim quote I'm looking at. It says, remove up to 50 trees, Stanley Park, remove trees, brush, and additional brush clearing, grind all stumps that we can get to, weather pending, blah, blah, blah. Leave and spread stump grindings,
/ wood chips.
wood chips.
I
due
think
to
they're going
access.
to run the branches they take down through the
They're-
chipper into the
Yeah,
truck.
right.
So it would
everything
be,
6 inches and smaller. That's a lot. That's a lot of wood chips.
Yeah, they'll haul most of it off-site as they have in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, the last several times we had the tree trimming done, when we had a bunch of those branches on the tops that had to be done, they ground up the material and took it off-site. So,
It might be, if they don't, it's gonna be a lot more than you think. Might wanna, try to plan what you wanna do with the wood chips. If you want them just in one spot, or if you had a plan for them, or if you want them removed. If you don't, tell them exactly what you wanna do, it could be a problem.
we will follow up on it.
follow up, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I was able to go out there today, and I agree exactly with your numbers, Sean. There was like 8 to 10 trees to be saved, 35 to 40 were to go. Honestly, one tree is too many for me. I get it that you want to straighten out the road, but once again, one tree is too many. Any chance we could harvest those 35 to 40 trees? I know we have a deadline.
There has been an inquiry made to a forestry group that
Okay.
may or may not be interested in coming. When they come on, they don't like to come unless there's like acres of trees.
Yeah, I knew that.
The cost efficiency, but I'm awaiting a call back.
Okay.
If we do get that bid, I know they usually just like top the tree and they leave a bit of a mess when they do that. And so I would say that if that does work out, we would need some sort of a budget to kind of clean up.
Yeah, because
And they won't take the stumps and grind the stumps either, so we'll have.
More of a
It would
mess.
have to be a
Well,
concerted effort between our tree removal contract that we award and potentially the person. The quality of the wood that's there, of the trees, there's only a few of them that are really have any architectural use. Most of them are not high grade.
Right.
I mean, if you've gone and looked at some of the trees, and some have come down already in that kind of first phase of clearing, the dangerous ones, but I mean, over the years, the decades of it being used as a campground, people had screwed hooks like for plant hangers in there, nailed and screwed signs up to them. I mean, they were very, I guess, damaged
Yeah.
to maybe the extent where some of these
To
harvesters,
mention how much lead is in them.
that too, yeah, that too.
I mean, it was just food for thought.
No, we already have had some discussion.
And there are unfortunately some competing interests with the Oakville timeline
absolutely,
we're
yeah,
on.
I
And
thought
so
that.
it's
I knew
sort
that.
of like,
I wasn't
kind of a
sure the exact
balancing.
time. I knew it was winter months.
sure.
We did do a walk down there and we consulted with Beckett and Rader about moving the path a little bit and moving a few other things. That's why you might see a few trees down there that have one color on them, then they have a green
Yep,
S
yep,
on
yep,
them over that to call that out so that they would realize that those particular trees were worth saving. There's one tree in particular, it's about a 36-inch white oak. That tree would never be replaced in a couple of our lifetimes combined. It just isn't going to happen. So we'll move the path, you know, and make it happen. So there was a lot of thought, and we did have multiple trips down there to try to minimize the impact for that. And I think we're probably in the best conservation mode that we can be in order to have the road
Yeah, I was-
down there.
So that an excavator, I guess, could, so Dawson said they would haul the wood and chip brush, whereas Maxon's won't. What do you think, Sean? I mean, for another $2,000, you can get rid of your wood chips. Do we need to get rid of the wood chips?
Well,
If not,
I'm going to
what do
say,
you do?
well, there are areas on site, we could use them in some areas. However, I guess I read this a little bit differently. They're going to remove most of it, they'll just wouldn't be removing. We can get verification on that and find out for sure what the interpretation is of that.
What's your thoughts, Scott?
Is that what Dawson says? I'm reading it.
It's the last sentence under
All wood.
the
chip,
description.
Under removal, yeah,
Haul wood-
last
It
sentence.
says haul wood and chip brush, so my interpretation is he's just leaving the brush. I mean, he's gonna chip it and leave it on site.
We will have to
Oh, I
verify.
thought it meant he's gonna haul
Haul
it.
it
I think he's
away.
gonna haul the wood and just chip the brush and leave it.
Oh, is that what that means?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's not how I read it.
I read it differently too.
I
pretty sure.
would leave it to planning to verify what the course of action is going to be.
Everybody seems to want to leave the chips. I mean,
Yeah.
Owen talks about it in their quote
okay.
too. I mean, that's sort of
Chip
a,
with the brush. So chipping the brush is basically chopping it into little pieces.
Right,
No, they send it through a wood chipper and
the
it
grinder.
just blows it out.
yeah.
And unless they indicate on here that it's gonna be hauled away, then it's not gonna be hauled away.
According to Justin, Maxon is only leaving stump grindings.
and I think that's how we read it.
That's
It was
how I
stump
understood
grindings
it.
only.
Everything else will go.
Okay.
Are you sure?
I'm reading his mind.
What?
I'm getting text messages from Justin. He must be watching
So
us.
Maxon's gonna haul the chips
I'm
away?
ignoring my phone.
Technology's a
We
wonderful
did talk
thing.
about that. So. Okay, any further questions or comments? Not looking for a motion?
I'll
Voorhees,
motion to
Michael?
approve Maxon to remove trees at Stanley Park, not to exceed $25,950.
I have a motion, looking for support.
Support.
I have a motion, I have support. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item E is, as you all know, Last fall, Mr. Gene Rison so generously donated 4¼ acres of property up on Highland Road and up near the river, in the Pontiac Lake Gateway District. And we have potential plans for that site, but yet we need to find out what the actual buildable area of that site is for potential marketing and also use of the land in the future. We have talked to a couple different groups regarding having the work done, and the ChemT, I believe, is the group. I'm sorry, Chemtech, I beg your pardon, Chemtech. Is the group that we are proposing to handle the wetland delineation. And then they were also doing Alta survey. Mr. Noble?
Yeah, they came in the lowest with a survey and the wetland delineation of 6,725 combined. Speaking with staff planner Justin Quagliata, recommended them. They did use them during Stanley Park's planning, and he felt very comfortable with them.
They are, have also done underground soil borings for us in the past. We use them on different occasions, so they are a very competent company. This will allow us to enter into another item that will be brought before the board tonight with the potential marketing of that property, so that it will have ultimate benefit. And because of the configuration of the parcels that are there, it makes sense to conjoin in a marketing strategy with the adjacent properties, which will give a much larger and much more usable and therefore more desirable marketable piece in the area that's next door neighbor to Lowe's, essentially. So it's in a good spot, and Mr. Rison wanted us to do a couple different things. He was hoping we could, A, work on the water trail that I brought before this board before, and he was also hoping that some of the proceeds ultimately would go for the benefit of the facilities in the new senior center in the new township hall. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, seeing none? Oh,
Can you, if you're going to approve one of these contracts, can you do so subject to review of the township attorney's review of the contract? I see some terms in here that are a little concerning.
we can, although we did have some
On
oversight.
this one?
I believe so.
Oh,
Okay.
Well, an authorization for the
I beg your
supervisor
pardon.
to sign the contract.
No, that was
too.
on the next contract that we spoke about
That's
earlier.
fine. We get a subject to attorney's
Yep.
review and authorize the supervisor to sign.
yes.
At least
So-
we're talking about the Chemtech.
Yes, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I beg your, stand
So-
corrected.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the wetland delineation and Alta survey proposal for parcel number 12-13-376-014, subject to review legal counsel with the contract,
And authorize.
and authorize the supervisor to sign such contract.
Support.
I have a motion, I have support,
I had a comment.
question, comment?
If I can ask the clerk to slightly amend that motion to mention that the source of funds be the general fund.
And an amendment to make sure that the source of funds come out to pay this expenditure comes out of the general fund.
Amend my support.
We have motion, we have amended motion, amended support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Ayes have it. Next item. We have talked about the downtown Civic Center area, and we were enlightened, pardon the pun, that we'll have streetlights within our district. Currently, we are looking at three particular styles, not the exact light, but three particular styles of light. And it's put before us so that, tonight, so that we can make a decision to move this forward, because this is a critical part of the road plan that is submitted. It's really the last little touch of it. It's part of our underground electrical plan that we have to submit and have coordination through the utilities, which I am working with both Consumers Power and DTE to facilitate that right now. So one of the choices that we have to make. We have to kind of pick a direction to go in with the light. I have a preference. I'm sure everyone has a little bit of an idea. Some points were brought up by the architect, not the architect, by engineering, the road engineer, as to what some of the benefits of each one would be. And we can kind of go from there. Trustee Smith, you have we'll start down there. Any thought process?
Well, I know these aren't exact, but I like the middle version. I think it's nice looking. I think the way that it would shine downwards, we don't want it to be so bright that it's blinding residents as they're driving. So I think that's important. So I would be in favor of option 2 or something similar to it.
Okay, and that, right, this is just to get us in a general direction, and then there'll be some another presentation
Yeah,
once
we'll
it's narrowed down to
tweaking
the
later.
selection for the board to approve. Mr. Ruggles?
I agree totally with Liz. I like option 2. And I think, we spoke with Mr. Powell last week. I think he was gonna write a letter about how much he liked the shroud.
I had requested that.
Yeah, so, I don't know if he did or not, but, I like it as well.
Okay. Mr. Noel?
I concur with trustee Ruggles and trustee Smith. I'm option 2 with a letter that I believe trustee Powell was supposed to write. Maybe he did, but talking about the illumination and the certain light pollution.
Okay. Trustee Voorhees?
Will I get in trouble if I say something different?
No.
No, I'm just kidding. Option 2. There's no, I mean, to me, there's no option. It's the only option. But I'm gonna start off by saying, because it appears like you want to talk the bollards too. I think we should go with option 2 on the bollards.
Okay, and we were gonna get to that, but,
So I'm just, because I'm assuming you're gonna ask.
Yep.
So I decided to start it.
okay. Mr. Roman?
I also like streetlight option 2.
Okay, I think it's unanimous.
With the, what do you call it, with the dimmer lights?
They have the ability, with the new lighting technology today, they have the ability to dim a light. That is more of a directed down light. We'll give radiant light out, however, it's more directed down so that the burn that you would get from fixture number 1 and potentially from fixture number 2 will not be as prevalent. It'll make it a little softer atmosphere, and most of the lighting, as I was told, it was described to me, that the lighting will go down. And also Mr. Powell did, and I discussed it, and he also did agree that number 2 was it going in that direction and pick a light from that particular selection.
Yeah.
And so from that, they can, okay, that's,
Just quick, do
Yes.
you know if these are these like solar lights that come on automatically? Or
they're
the
not,
electric?
they're generally illuminated lights. There'll be new LED lights that will be on a transformer type system that will have one location at the moment that's going to be located on the island that is between the library and the township North Loop Road is the proposed DTE transformer location at this moment in time in conjunction with the road commission's approval.
So does who actually controls the time that the lights come on and off?
The lights are done on a photometric switch, so as it gets dark, they come on. Gets light,
Oh,
they go
nice,
off.
nice.
So even in the middle of the day, if we had a bad weather day and it got dark enough, they would
They
kick on. Yeah.
very cool.
So, any other questions or comments? All in favor of selection 2 on the lights? Say aye.
Aye.
Easy enough.
I just wanted to mention really quickly that, style was important, try to nail down the style, but we've got issues with cost and issue with supply chain. So I think I want to just mention both on the streetlight and on the bollard that we're trying to get, I think the supervisor led by saying a general idea of the rough look of it or the look of it. So we could be, close, but, there'll be certainly a variety of options even within these individual options to kind of have to sift through before we can nail down the exact light pole. But we can talk more about it.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention this might not be the exact light
Exactly,
for
right, yeah,
residents.
yeah.
And like if cost allows it, I'd love to see the hanging plant or flower, things like that. But we're just kind of in the ballpark.
Right. We're just trying to get into the mechanical criteria for the lumen
Right.
And that will tell us the spacing, because there's a variation in spacing on each one of those poles, styles of poles. So by going to number 2, we've now established what the spacing will be. I don't know exactly what it is, but this will determine.
Yeah, I think the initial design had 42 feet was the spacing, which adds up significant, very quickly.
A
When
lot of
you're
lights.
considering both sides of the street, right? And there's some wiggle room there. But I think the general consensus, at least at the committee level, is that a light that's downward facing, that can be, the light levels can be well-controlled, maybe a more yellow light than a white light. So we're doing a kind of a lower lighting fixture. Having a banner, having the ability to hang, hanging baskets, things like that. So something that can offer all of the features that you're seeing in these pictures was really kind of the goal, and I think that you guys are all on the same page, so.
Beautiful. Now, number 2 is the Ballard. Again, you can take a look at those, and one of them looks like it's something from someplace else. The other 2 seem a little more fitting for White Lake Township. And I'll go down the line again. Trustee Smith?
Sure. I like option number 1. I think it's sleek and modern looking. So I would be in favor of option 1.
Okay. Scott?
I agree. I like 1 the best.
Okay. Anthony?
I agree, 1.
I agree, 1. Mr. Roman?
1.
1?
I'm getting in trouble this time, too.
Okay, all right. We will do, I'll make a motion to propose we approve light bollard style number 1, looking for support.
Sean's trying to get your attention.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So the memo mentioned doing a black, stainless, but a black rather than a shiny looking, and I didn't know if anyone had a preference, just to match the street pole.
I would say it
street light
matched the
color.
pole.
So
absolutely.
with just the narrow band of light, just to, okay.
Very subtle.
Where are the colors of the library? So there's some cohesiveness with the library.
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Oh, I agree, but what color are those?
I don't know.
All right, so let's move forward.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you. And again, these may not be exact bollards, but they're going to be in that style. I believe that bollard shouldn't be a difficulty to get a hold of.
And I think the goal would be to carry out the same light and body, the entire kind of
Sets a
corridor.
tone, sets a tone.
Yep.
Right.
Back to the light pole option, you did not, I didn't have a second on that, you all. in favor,
Light
but-
was unanimous, so I just said, yeah, all in favor, because everybody was unanimous. There was opposition, so I put it to a more democratic vote, so to speak. But she didn't voice her opposition, so I guess we're all good.
It's not worth it.
She was convinced.
It's not worth it to sit there and argue about it.
Okay, very good. All right, well, another decision moving us forward. Next item, request to transfer funds, construction management to improvement revolving fund. Mr. Roman.
Yeah, so a few years back, we had Plant Moran look at our fund balances, and we asked them if it would be okay to take some of that money and use it toward new buildings. And they did give us dollars at the time for each fund. What I'm asking for today is much less than what Plant Moran had said was okay. So this is kind of just a start. We're asking for a little bit of money from each of these different funds to help with some of the design costs and other soft costs, and even some of the future hard costs. Are there any questions?
Any questions, comments from the board?
Every department is aware of this, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And you've consulted with the professionals about the use of the enterprise funds?
You talking,
Sewer.
yes, we have.
At great length.
So we should be good.
Good to go. Okay, any questions or comments from the board? If not, seeking a motion? Mr. Roman?
I'll make
Motion,
Oh, Mr. Noble?
I'll make a motion to request transfer funds for construction management to the improvement revolving fund.
I have a motion, looking for support?
Support.
I have motion, I have support from Mr. Ruggles. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item. Request to consider exclusive right to sell or lease agreement for parcel 1213376 Again, this refers back to the parcel that we were so fortunate to come across, and the combination in marketing on this particular piece. This is a pretty straightforward listing agreement, has a 6% sales commission on it. They would represent the township on the 4.25 acres and would work with us to yield us the best return that we could get based on the results of the survey and the wetlands delineation, which will determine how much actual buildable area there is on that particular parcel of property. And then we can have some conversation once that information comes back. This was also looked at by Kristen, in the absence of our attorney, who was somewhere on the beach with a coconut supreme or whatever it was at the time. So she was not here, dereliction of duty, but nonetheless, it was reviewed, and there were a few little adjustments that were made, as in certain contracts or certain areas that are not applicable to governmental entities, those were removed. Any questions or comments from the board at this time?
You touched on it a little bit, but I just wanted to clarify, this property was donated to us, and the gentleman, I had recalled that he wanted us to use it for like senior citizen,
No.
but you said the proceeds
No,
to go
he
to something.
allowed us to do whatever we wanted to do, although we are going to, if the water trail is developed, or when the water trail is developed, it will be the Gene Rison Water Trail, because he'll be at the headwater of it. And then we'll probably do some naming rights or part of the senior center when that comes to fruition.
If there's a water trail, wouldn't we want to use part of this property for access?
Part of it, and that's an agreement that we've worked out as part of this.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. And I'm also working with the Blue Heron Conservancy to help start facilitate. I just introduced them to this, and this is all, I can't even tell you where things are going yet, because it was just literally this last week, an introduction. So they're definitely excited about it, and more to come as it unveils, but.
So do we need to have in this agreement anywhere that we would have access to the property?
That is
if it's
part of
sold?
the understanding of this. I mean, it can be, I think that was pretty, I'm going to let,
I think it's
I'm
good to
sorry.
have it in writing,
yeah, just a
right?
moment. You can come forward and introduce yourself. You have to come to the microphone.
Hi, Ron Goldstone.
You have to come right up to the mic, Ron, or else it won't pick you up.
Hi, Ron Goldstone. I'm an executive vice president with NAI Farbman out of Southfield, Michigan. We've been in discussions to help in the disposition of the approximately 4.5 acres that you're acquiring. And as a owner, you can choose to sell as much or as little as you choose based on what the end result is on the usable, buildable land and how we align it with the adjacencies. To back up a little bit, our goal here is there's 3 different properties in alignment between Lowe's and the end of your property, including your property, 2 of which are owned privately, and 1 obviously is your parcel. All 3 of the parcels are impacted by various wetlands throughout the parcels, making all of them independently a little more challenging to be attractive to end users, retail users, office users, et cetera. So the thought process is, let's all team up on these 3 parcels and have a uniform marketing process where it is an open book process, and whatever we can get for the parcels based on the buildable land, hence the Chemtech analysis, will be equally prorated on the various property owners as far as the proceeds. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but that's the gist. And you're free as a property owner to choose to sell what you want or not. And I believe when we get the Chemtech survey, it's going to point out that there's going to be a clear break between the property you have to the east relative to the property to the west that will determine the area that you want to do the access and head to the water stream. So I think it's going to unfold itself. My gut is you're probably going to have about an acre, maybe an acre and a quarter of high land before it starts getting wet. And that will be adjacent to two other private properties. So I think at the end of the day, we'll probably have about 2.5 plus or minus high land acres to trade in the general offering.
And at this time, we're not sure where or how it'll go until the survey, all the survey is done. So we sort of have to get that done to see how that's going to work. And there are a couple other contingencies right now that have kind of come to light that I am not at liberty to discuss at the moment, but there's maybe some other options that are going to help in that decision process too. So once all this information comes back and before we commit to actually a sale of the property, we would be able to carve out what we necessarily would need in order to do it. But yet that would, once that would be done, it would probably ping back to Parks Committee to be looked at, and would be just kind of a weaving of different things at the time. So it's really kind of hard to call out any specific area right now, and we have the right up until the moment of sale to, decide how much of it we need in the, for the future. So, but which is yet to be determined because we don't know.
Right.
So,
And teaming
good
up-
point, very good point, though.
Good points.
Yeah.
Teaming up with the adjacent property owners will give us more maximizing for selling the property. And if we list it now, it might get lucky and have young Brandon over there make a good sale, or it might take a year, might take longer. It just depends how the market, we're open fast. But just the way that property lines up, just selling it by itself would be a very challenging piece. So what we'd like is to be able to maximize as much as we can with the other property owners, be able to utilize that money and use it towards the civic center down the road. Hence, using the prior owner's name as part of the senior center is one of his wishes.
And both the adjacent properties are on board, both privately owned. So I think everyone's kind of the same mindset. This makes sense for all of us to work together.
Yeah, the parcel right next door, for example, I don't even know how it came to be. I think it's like 60 feet wide
Yes.
by, I don't,
Is that where the house
200.
is?
yeah, it's crazy. It's so narrow that all these years, they've been driving on the adjacent property owner's property to park their car in the garage. When their car comes out of the garage, and while the front of their car might be in the garage, the back end of their car is on their neighbor's property. I mean, it's that close to the property line. So it just didn't make sense for that parcel, even under our own ordinances, and I checked with our community development director, that you couldn't really do much of anything there as a single lot. So that's why it makes the most sense to conjoin these three in this marketing strategy. And I think, in all, White Lake Township, not only will we sell the parcel, but I think we'll end up with a better product for the community in the end.
Also, that adjacent owner, if he were to try to market that as it is, he would have a very difficult time.
If
So
not
he's
impossible.
getting, and was explained through their team that he'll get the maximized value for his property because it's commercial now. And once he understood that, he was right on board. Correct, Mr. Golds?
Absolutely. I think it's really a very simple win-win-win for all three properties. And that's the mindset.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments?
Yeah.
Mr. Roman?
So Ron, does it make sense then, do you just leave the parcel as one parcel now? And then once, hopefully, we figure out how much of our piece the buyer wants, the rest just gets cut off and is renumbered?
Yeah, that would be a very logical approach. And again, I strongly believe when we see the Chem Tech survey, it's going to be obvious where the break should be.
It will.
I'm hopeful that there's an acre and a half of the 4.5 before you get into the wet area that's buildable. And the ideal scenario would be to combine that with the Moore parcel, which is the one running at an angle, and then the balance of the HRT equities piece on the west side, where it's on the other side of a water feature. There's a finger-shaped water feature that cuts the 4.5 acre piece adjacent to Lowe's in half. So there's a 2 acre piece adjacent to Lowe's with cross easement with Lowe's, which is a perfect, nice rectangle, very logical, buildable piece. And then you have a water feature that comes out. And then on the other side of the water feature, there's about 3/4 of an acre. So the feeling is, let's combine that 3/4 of an acre with that, maybe call it a half or so acre of the 60-foot narrow lot where the home is, and then with whatever's buildable on the communities piece. And I think at the end of the day, we won't know for sure until we see the wetland analysis, but I think at the end of the day, we're gonna have 2.5, maybe 3 buildable acres there, combining all 3 parcels. As opposed to each person trying to find a 3/4 or a 1/10 of an acre buyer, it's very difficult.
It just makes more sense, strategy-wise. And of course, this is going to be subject to, the final sale would be subject to attorney review and all that, so.
And again, it would be an open book process where everything is shared with all parties.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, looking for a motion?
Yeah, I can make a motion.
Oh, she's going to make it.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to enter into an agreement with Farber Commercial Real Estate Services for exclusive rights to sell or lease agreement for parcel number 12-13-376-014 for a term commencing February 15th, 2023, and expiring at midnight on February 14th, 2024, subject to attorney review. Do you need to sign it?
Pardon?
Do you need to sign
And
it?
authorization.
Authorization to the supervisor?
I have a motion, looking for support.
Support.
I have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Trustee Smith. Request to approve Oakland County Tri-Party Agreement. That time of year again. We're trying to get more gravel on the roads. Those of you that may travel the back roads, Mr. Ruggles, I know you and I fall in that group. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have noticed there has been a significant improvement in the gravel that's been on the roads, although this time of year, it gets a little dicey because of the freeze and thaw.
Yep.
But we have been trying to get them to get out here and continue to be a participant in this particular program, of which $171,000 is a projected $171,702, and our share would be $57,234. That's a pretty good bang for your buck when you think about it, and I think we owe it to our residents who live in the areas, which is a vast majority of our community that has dirt roads versus paved, to continue this program, to move forward and try to improve them as best they can. We have done this annually for many, many, many years. Any questions or comments from the board?
I'll make a motion.
Please do. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023 gravel haul program to the Oakland County Tri-Party Agreement with an amount to cost White Lake Township of $57,234.
I have a motion to approve the tri-party agreement. Looking for support?
I'll support that.
I have support from Mr. Noble. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Couldn't hear him.
What?
I didn't hear Anthony even talking.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Andrea thought her
You can-
support
you
was
can take it.
first.
I didn't,
so
I couldn't even hear you.
She's a
Anthony.
little
I
upset
couldn't
down
hear you
here.
either, so-
She's a little
I'm
hot.
not uptight, but I couldn't even hear you. I struggled to
Well,
hear you.
we will rescind that motion.
I didn't hear him at
Mr.
all. That
Ruggles,
side's blank at
would you care to
times.
restate that?
Oh, you want the motion again?
Yes, please.
Hold on, let me go back. I've lost it.
We're good, but
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the 2023 Oakland County Tri-Party Agreement, the gravel hauling program, White Lake will contribute an amount of $57,234.
I have motion, looking for support.
Support.
I have support from trustee Voorhees. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I think the record should reflect simply that the motion was made and seconded by Andrea.
that's
Since
all
he
right.
didn't change anything and you really can't rescind his motion.
Yeah,
Should've
it
seen
was
Lisa's
just
way
look on her
past
face when you said that.
Just fine.
I'm
A little
just
late,
like.
Lisa.
It's fine. We're all good. Okay, old business, second reading of 9400 Gale Road rezoning request. Mr. O'Neill.
Thank you. This will be quick, and I don't see the applicants here tonight, which is okay. At the last meeting, we had the report and the presentation on the rezoning request for 9400 Gale Road, which is identified as parcel 12-11-401-003, approximately 42 acres in size. They would like to rezone this property from AG, agricultural, to SF, suburban farms, or any other appropriate zoning district. The Planning Commission on January 5th made the recommendation to the board that they approve this rezoning request, and you had your first reading at your January meeting. And if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, a motion to approve this rezoning request would be in order.
Mr. O'Neill, number one, I'm very familiar with that site because I used to have an associate of mine years ago that owned that and we were mining that. So I'm very familiar with it. And the proposal that they're doing, as we talked about last time, where there's 9 sites there, I think they're decent-sized sites. They've got a road proposed there according to their diagram that looks like it'll meet requirements?
They do, we do ask that every applicant who comes in to rezone property provide us with just a very conceptual site plan. And in this case, as you mentioned, they lay out a private road that has not been reviewed and lay out parcels that have not been reviewed for compliance either, just to kind of give you an idea of what they're thinking. So as of right now, that is their plan, to develop acreage parcels, 9 acreage parcels, and move forward with a private road. You know, whether or not that's actually how they develop it or not is sort of yet to be seen. They certainly are not bound by that, but that's sort of what they had. And actually, there was quite a bit of discussion at the planning commission by the neighbors just as to, you know, maybe some of the specifics of the layout, and we kind of went round and round. And but we did mention and make it, you know, quite clear to everyone involved that they were under no obligation to, you know, move ahead with that conceptual layout. So again, this is consistent with the master plan. This is actually on the sewer system and is really, the request is ready for your consideration and would be an appropriate rezoning.
Okay. Any question or comments from the board?
No?
Looking for a motion? Mr. Ruggles.
Sure. Make a motion to approve the final rezoning request of parcel number 12-11-401-003, 9400 Gale Road, from AG to Suburban Farm.
I have a motion. Looking for support?
Support.
I have motion and support for the rezoning. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye carries. Thank you. Discussion, 9885 Cedar Island Road update.
Is this okay?
It is, yes.
Yeah, the property owner was served the complaint. It was
Friday afternoon.
It was Friday afternoon. Just so that the township board understands, if we hire a process server, a company that goes out and looks to serve somebody a complaint, if they can't serve that complaint, there's this whole process that we have to go through, and that is filing a motion and a brief with the circuit court asking for alternate service, that is, allow us to serve this person by another means. Usually it involves posting it, mailing it, and publishing it in a newspaper for 3 weeks in a row, once a week for 3 weeks in a row. And then the judge might issue the order, and then 21 days from there. I mean, it's a very long, drawn-out, expensive process. But fortunately, the Community Development Department and Jason Hudson got real creative and worked directly with the process server and got him served. So it certainly saved a lot of time and money. But the update is he's been served. He now has 21 days to answer the
To
complaint.
respond. Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay, next item. Civic Center Committee update. Mr. Roman.
Okay, so, we put the RFP out there, I don't know, was it February 1st, or was it?
It was December.
Was it that long ago? My God. We did get 3 replies back, and those replies are now at Redstone, who is kind of tallying them and analyzing them in order to present to the board, a summary of what those RFPs had in them. Once we get those, we'll get those to the board members, and because we only had 3, it's our intent to have this entire board interview all 3 of those construction managers. In regard to site work, engineering, we've been working with Beckett and Rader. They did present a contract. Our biggest complaint was they wanted to limit their liability to $100,000. We said no. We got them to move to 2 million. I think we're good with the 2 million. And then finally, we received amendments on the architectural contracts back, I think today, Sean?
We received them Friday.
Friday. I did have one issue with those, and that's just, I want to amend the section
wording.
11 with the comp to GMP
I
language.
saw you wanted the 5-foot, you wanted it to include a
Something-
5-foot perimeter around, and I'll follow back up with them.
Yeah, other than that, that pretty much brings you guys up to speed. Questions? Or Anthony, did you want to add on anything?
Just Sean worked pretty feverishly along with Justin filling out. There's federal grant money for projects such as ours. So he did fill out an application in hopes that we can gain some federal funds through Congresswoman Lisa McLean's office and Haley Stevens' office will be part of that too. But the application was sent in today, right? Friday, so it was quite lengthy. Sean did a great job, him and his staff, putting that together. And let's keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully we can get $1 or millions.
Whatever we get, we get. We're ahead of the game.
It was a similar process for getting funding on Elizabeth Lake Road, so, I mean, we were successful in that endeavor with our request, so we'll, like we said, keep our fingers crossed.
Start high and come down, don't go the other way.
Okay. Anything else, gentlemen?
No, unless
I have a little
our
bit.
board members had questions.
Anybody have a question?
No question.
It is, you all know, we've been working on the road, which is what prompted the lighting selection to come in. That is now under review from the road commission. I have not received a commitment date, although they are very aware that we would like to move this along. We would like to have a 23 construction schedule. There are companies that are looking to bid this project and/or including potentially the contractor for the roundabouts. We'll see where that all plays out. But in the meantime, the utility permit, I believe, Aaron, the water main extension permit, did that come back from the state on that?
You guys submitted that?
Yeah, I didn't know if you saw that. Mike was supposed to have gotten together with you on that. Okay.
Haven't seen anything come back?
Okay, all right. So that's in process right now, and I thought we received a response. I may be misinformed, and hopefully that'll move forward so that we can consecutively have our utilities being extended along with DTE and/or Consumers Power, whatever they need to do at the time when the Tegadyne and Elizabeth Roundabout is under construction, and ideally, once they're done, then we can potentially start working on our road bed. It's all going to depend on the permitting process and a few other things. So all those things are yet to be determined. So they're still out there a little bit. But we are definitely moving in the right location, and meetings have been made with utility companies. And I was also informed that DTE does also have a street lighting program of which I'm going to take a peek at and see how that would be in effect with this particular process, and I'll work with Mr. O'Neill on that. So that's come to my attention also. So, any questions, Ian?
I just wanted to say one thing. I wanted to ask Ms. Smith, Mr. Ruggles, and Ms. Voorhees, when we do these interviews with these construction managers, we were thinking of going about an hour each with each prospective manager, with them putting on a short presentation, and then we could do question answer where the board could ask. Do you guys think an hour is sufficient? Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are all good with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Looking at, I think in the
Because it's
RFP, we had identified March 13th or March 14th as the interview dates, so that way the respondents knew when we would be looking to meet. And I think that today we had, at least a group of us thought that the 14th might work better, just to throw that out there too. I know you don't have to answer today, but if you could let maybe me know tomorrow, I can kind of get that rolling with the supervisor's office and with the CM applicants.
Okay, and I know, Andrea, early board meetings are bad for you.
5 o'clock works for me.
5 works for you, and that's what you're,
I had asked her right before the meeting.
perfect. Yeah, you're way ahead of me, Sean, as always.
It's hard to keep up with you.
Okay. That's all I had, Rick.
Okay, great. All right, moving on to trustee comments. Andrew Voorhees.
Thank you. I want to start out by thanking Dave, Heather, and assessing, and Justin and planning for answering some questions my 87-year-old mom had. It put her at ease. I'm always proud to be a White Lake resident, but that day I was just more, because it just put my mom at so much ease. And as we all know, February is Go Red for Women Month. I neglected to even do anything about it, so none of us ladies are wearing red. But it's definitely an important thing that we all, us women, need to work on, because it's the #1 killer of women, with the results of 1 in 3 deaths each year. So I'm going to ask all the residents of White Lakes to encourage the women in your life to get themselves checked. I know I made my appointment, because heart disease is absolutely in my family. Continuous support and love and prayers and all those good things for the victims and their families of the craziness of Michigan State University. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roman.
Yeah, just, my heart goes out to those that lost loved ones up at MSU, and, all my prayers to those that are recovering. That's all I had.
Thank you. Trustee Smith.
Thank you. I too pray for those families of the victims of MSU and all students. I sit here as a Spartan along with Trustee Ruggles, Treasurer Roman, and Mr. O'Neill. And once you're a Spartan for life. And my heart goes out to the entire student body and all of their loved ones. It's just so tragic and scary. I know there's a lot of support groups going around online if anybody needs help. And there was a great welcoming effort on Sunday for the students to come back, so that was wonderful to see. The library is meeting tomorrow for their regular board meeting. They're working on their strategic plan. The library is hiring. If anyone's interested, information is on their website. And they also have tax forms available for anybody that might need them. There's some information there. There is every year. Thanks, Andrea, for mentioning heart health for women. I'll check that off my list. I wanted to mention that as well. We normally wear red, but as a Spartan, I had to wear some green and white today. And then I just want to congratulate our new police officers. Welcome aboard. We're happy to have you here in White Lake Township. And that's all. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ruggles.
Yeah, thanks. Planning Commission, we had a meeting on the 16th. It was canceled. Our next meeting will be on March 2nd, and as far as I know, it's on track to have a meeting.
Yes.
I requested an agenda item for March's meeting to have a discussion as far as planning commissioners' pay for their meetings in the Zoning Board of Appeals. So maybe this board will take some action and see if they think they deserve a little bit more. I know it's not about the pay, obviously for those people, but a little more would probably be warranted. So look forward to that discussion.
At least enough to take your wife out to dinner after you spent 6 hours in a meeting till 11
For
o'clock at
sure.
night.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Or if you're Q12.
Yeah, yeah. And I agree with the comments made about Michigan State. It's unbelievable. It definitely hits home as an alumni. I spent so much time in those, even if it was 5 years in those buildings, you know.
3.
So, yeah, just so sad. But that's it.
Okay. Mr. Noble?
Just same thing, sentiment, thoughts and prayers go out to the MSU community and the staff, students, and all those that are affected by it. We were outside on, I believe, Monday, and we saw police cars, state police cars heading down M59. Didn't know what was going on until each and or Andrea, Liz, and myself got home, and it was tragic. And so hopefully that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And thanking the police officers as well throughout the
Yeah, our first
communities.
responders did a great
First
job.
responders.
Yeah.
What Anthony's talking about is when we were leaving, we saw just tons of police officers flying down M59. I mean, everybody just rushed there, so thank you to the first responders and the police department.
Yeah, they were very, very good about that. The community outpouring of support for that type of atrocity was good. This particular event affected Michigan, Michigan itself. And it's a lot will be learned for it as it's gone through its examination. But it is a very strong case for improvement in mental health availability in our state. It's something that needs to be reconsidered and prioritized. I wish everyone a speedy recovery, and I wish a blessing upon those families that their lives will head to a road to recovery for the ones that they've lost. They're going to have a lifetime to recover that. On a local note, we are real happy to say that we just submitted a grant for $100,000 to SEMCOG for groundwater, stormwater runoff, which I'm hoping will be utilized for the Elizabeth Lake Road project. I know we can spend every nickel of it, so it will be a good thing. Hopefully we'll be in good standing for that. It is a project of interest to SEMCOG, so I'm hoping that that will come forth. The success of our own creativity in our cadet program has proven to be fruitful, as it is now also being implemented by the fire department, and they're going to experience, I think, having that opportunity to get the younger ones, right, Chief? Right out of the box, so to speak, and hopefully, my remark is if we can't find them, we'll grow our own. So I think we need to keep and be very supportive of both the chiefs and their programs on that. Another item I'm looking into right now is an interesting recycling program in addition to our current environmental programs that we have. And one of them is that we have a tremendous amount of blue in this community. If you were to take and fly over this community, as I have from time to time in the dead of winter, you'll see little seas of blue, and it's boat wrapping. And there are literally oodles and oodles and oodles of boats here. And that wrapping can be recycled, and I'm trying to work with a company right now that the E-Team will be sponsoring, trying to have a collection of that particular product. Once I know more information on the program and go forward with it, we may be able to provide residents the ability to collect that material to be recycled versus being put in a landfill. Now, there might be a small fee for it, but we'll see where it goes, and I think it's a good thing because we literally have a sea of blue here, and everybody pulls that stuff off and they go, what do we do with it? And instead of sending it off to a landfill, a GFL, let's try to get something usable out of it. I'll have further information on that program as it comes along. So with that, I would say to all of our White Lake residents who are watching, and I have someone in the crowd who has something that wants to say.
Monkey survey is up.
Oh,
Oh, that was on
That
my
is
list. Thank you. I
Mr.
skipped over
O'Neill.
that.
Yes, if you go to the township website, you will be able to find the survey for our master plan update. The the planning commission approved the survey at a meeting in January. We kind of had some bugs to work out. We tested it for a week or so, and it went live late last week. So thank you for mentioning that.
You need a job? Okay, all right.
I will let you know that we have done the master plan update. It happens every 10 years. This is the third one in my time here that we're undertaking. And I think the record for any kind of local community survey, like website-based survey, was maybe 350-ish, 375 maybe. Maybe the Inform survey, when the library was going through their process. And as of today, we're at 1,019 respondents. So whatever you guys are doing to get the word out, because I know we had emailed it out and asked everyone to
It's on
share.
our marquee.
Yeah, and actually, tonight, Hannah went to the website, and she's an administrator on the website, and selected all the groups who sign up for kind of newsworthy events. She's just going to work with Trish tomorrow morning to get that kind of blast out through our website, anyone who's subscribed to it. So that'll hopefully bring in a few hundred more respondents. So thank you to everyone who's pushed it out via social media as well. We've got quite a following in our various Facebook pages. The township's got a following, Parks and Rec has a following, Public Safety has a following. So that all kind of helps us gather that data. And you don't have to be a resident to take it. I would assume most of the people taking it probably are residents. But if you've got roughly 15 minutes of time, please go to the website. If you can't find it on the website, give our office a call and we'll direct you there. If you don't want to go to the website, we'll get you a hard copy and you can take it that way.
Okay, yes, Mr. Early.
Question on that. When we took it on the computer and finished, we opened the website again, and we got a notice, you've already done this survey. So it must be sensing that the computer's already done it. Now, in the library, if the library were to offer this, that people could come in and library, how would they handle that?
That I can't answer. That's going to be,
Well, I can't answer that either. I think it's an IP address issue. It'll identify the IP address of the computer and only let you take it once. We've had that issue previously, and the difficult part of it is that we really want to limit folks. I mean, and there aren't too many people who want to sit down and take a 15-minute survey, a dozen times, but it is an issue.
But it would happen at the library.
It could, yes. And I have yet to hear, actually, last time we did this, I heard from the library about it. I haven't heard from them yet, but that brings up a good point, and I will certainly follow up with our consultant who helped us with a survey on that.
Change the IP address after every.
So I'll be at their meeting tomorrow. John, I'll mention it and see what they say.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good point.
okay. All right, well, thank you very much. Okay, well, with that, I will say, in closing, good night, God bless, and motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I have motion, support?
Support.
I have motion, support, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn.